explosive new details on Kamala's running mate vetting process. Campaign aides reportedly grilled Tim Walz on whether he was secretly working for the Chinese Communist Party before signing him on as her running mate. After it was revealed he took multiple trips to China, that's when the questioning came. And that comes as Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says in his new memoir that Kamala's team straight up asked him if he had ever been an Israeli agent. Meanwhile, Politico is exploring Kamala's time in La La Land, her political exile in Los Angeles, and sudden return to the spotlight, which could be bad news for Democrats hoping to move on and not relive this mess.
They may want us to be afraid, to be divided, to be silent, but we won't give them that satisfaction. We will continue the fight with determination, with resilience, and dare I say, with joy. So in the spirit of Chicago, it is time to bear down.
Yeah, she's running. She's not going anywhere. Dana, I was on with you and Bill yesterday when we were talking about this Josh Shapiro being asked if he was an Israeli double agent. And then it is convenient that, like, by the end of the day, the Waltz team said, I was also asked if I was a Chinese spy.
We are thinking the same.
Yes.
I thought it was a bit of strategic leaking that all of a sudden, because everybody, Walz is toast. Okay, so nobody really cares. The revelations in Josh Shapiro's book is just a reminder to everyone that Kamala Harris did not choose Josh Shapiro because he's Jewish. She chose her first big decision for a would-be president, a wannabe president, was to choose Governor Walz, Tim Walz, from Minnesota, who oversaw $9 billion worth of fraud. And apparently that didn't raise to the level of a question in the vetting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, Jesse, they missed the fraud. They missed all of his lies. Remember, he lied about his DUI. He misled about having a weapon of war. There's like a whole litany that the vetting process missed.
Yeah, they missed everything. But I don't see anything wrong with asking these questions. I mean, the Chinese and the Israelis have an amazing spy network all over the world. I'm not saying Shapiro and Walz are agents of a foreign power, but these are obvious questions you ask anyone who's going to be a heartbeat away from the presidency, especially when Walz is going to China 20 times and is infatuated with the Chinese system. Or Shapiro, I think, volunteered to do work at an Israeli army base. Now, that's not disqualifying, but these are simple questions you ask anyone. Imagine if Barack Obama were Biden's VP. Can you imagine the questions? Your dad's Muslim. Anything you want to say? You grew up in Indonesia. You want to tell us about that? Here's a picture of you in Farrakhan. You want to talk to a lawyer? I mean, this guy would have never gotten through. And that's fine. These vetting processes for a VP, they're supposed to be awkward. How do you think Kamala's was with Biden? Doug and the nanny. I'm sure that came up, and it should have.
Yeah. I do think there was a little more going on with Shapiro, though. I agree with you. Those questions should be asked. But with Shapiro, Harris asked him if he'd be willing to apologize for his statements he made about UPenn, those statements he made about anti-Semitism. So she wanted him to walk back his pro-Israel support, essentially. That's what that tells me.
She may have, but I agree 100% with Jesse. I would have asked, I hope she asked those questions. I hope anybody running would ask even probing questions, even the ones that you're asking there. She obviously wasn't satisfied with what Governor Shapiro had to say about those things, and somehow or another got satisfied and comfortable with Governor Walz. But I hesitate to say this publicly, but I agree with Jesse 100%.
Greg.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Kamala didn't pick Pete because he was gay, and she even admits that. It's the first time anybody's ever publicly said, hey, I didn't hire the guy because he's gay.
And she didn't get canceled.
Okay? If I say that?
She's like more of a bigot than I am.
I mean, I can't believe no one said that before. She's like, you mean I'm the first person to ever say that? Holy crap. And then, of course, she didn't pick Shapiro because he controls the weather and, runs Hollywood. So, and then you got Walz, who's a Chinese spy, which means he probably banged Eric Swalwell. So now we got to backfill this whole story. But it's about.
Well, then she can't pick Swalwell either.
Yes, exactly. But it's like these candidates were chosen because of their cowardice. They weren't going to upset the woke apple cart. They can't even answer questions on basic biology. I mean, these people were designed to be controlled, and I think that's why you have. Oh, by the way, we wouldn't know about this stuff if we had lost. We're lifting up the rocks and seeing all the stuff underneath because Trump won. Trump never won. We wouldn't know any of this stuff.
Man, I love the stuff underneath. So keep it coming, Josh Shapiro and others.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.